Hello, I'm Victor and this is The Junkyard. While I wait for my copy of Alien vs. Predator 2 to come by, let's take a look at the next best thing, Alien 3. Now, Alien 1 and Alien 2 were both pants-wettingly terrifying but awesome films. 4 was definitely the worst film as a film, but 3 seems to get the most hate. Let's take a look at why that is.
To bring you up to speed, in Aliens, Ripley, Hicks, half of Bishop, and the traumatized child Newt had just escaped the alien-infested planet with a few guns, some smarts, and more bravery than any 4 people should have. During the film, they learned, bonded, and grew as people, becoming some of the most human characters in all of science fiction. Now we get to see how their next adventure will play out. On to the review! The film starts with everyone but Ripley dying in a horrible crash.
How unceremonious. I think they were trying to be ironic or dramatic, but the audience knows a cheap shot when they see one, so I was emotionally uninvolved.
Oh, and making a point of showing that Newt died awake and screaming? Classy. Anyway, Ripley survives, and we find that she's landed on a prison planet with an exclusively male population. Apparently, all of them have taken vows of celibacy, in accordance to their religious beliefs, under the guidance of a guy whose name I didn't bother to learn, who we'll call Preacher. Ripley soon wakes up in the care of creepy doctor, who informs her that everyone else is dead. She demands to inspect the ship and bodies, not bothering to tell Creepy what she's looking for. Meanwhile, an inmate's dog, who we know got face-hugged, isn't feeling well. In any case, at Ripley's request, the bodies get cremated in a furnace while Preacher gives a eulogy, during which the alien bursts out of the dog unconvincingly.
Yeah, it's time to talk about the effects.
Some of the puppetry looked a bit cheaper this time around, but it's more the digital, layered effects that, even compared to the awkward effects of the day, stand out as pretty bad here. In half its scenes, the alien appears to be hovering over the film itself.
But enough. Aliens are aliens, and this film has aliens. In the first film, there was one alien versus a bunch of only slightly armed people. In the second film, it was a multitude of aliens versus a bunch of well-armed people. Now, in this third film, there are a bunch of people, not very well-armed, and, how are they going to raise the stakes? My guess is the alien that dog burst was actually a queen, and since they made a point of saying that all the inmates had double Y chromosomes, that means we're probably going to get some sort of new kind of alien. Because of that chromosomal thing, that are going to be meaner or in some way scarier than the rest, and they're going to have to fight those guys off with very little armaments. I don't think this is going to be a terrible disappointment.
Well, Ripley then decides to go and eat lunch among dozens of rapists and killers who haven't seen a woman in years, making them all uncomfortable, despite being asked not to do this exact thing by the warden. I'm sure she has a reason for doing something this stupid and, frankly, inconsiderate, but we're never really told. I guess she's just ornery. We cut to a guy cleaning near a giant fan. He sees a hole, looks inside, gets a face full of acid — can aliens even spit acid? — and trips into the fan. This alien's first kill can generously be described as manslaughter. Meanwhile, Ripley wakes up next to creepy doctor.
Sure, they had a good 4 minutes of combined character interaction. Why not?
After that, Ripley goes out to the scrap heap to retrieve Bishop, who is a horribly unconvincing dummy in this scene. Well, making her way back in, she's nearly raped by some inmates. Never could have seen that coming. Anyway, she's saved by Preacher. Then we have a scene where a few guys are properly attacked by the alien. This is also where we realize that this is all we get. A dog alien. Ripley then uses Bishop to access the ship's logs to figure out if there was an alien on board. He says yes, and then asks to be deactivated. Hey, Lance, we're doing another Alien sequel, you in? Sure, I had fun with the last one. Am I going to be one of the main characters again? No, you're gonna voice a spooge-covered puppet for about 2 minutes, then do a semi-nonsensical scene at the end as a different character. How much would I be getting paid? Not as much as the last film, but it'll still be more than an internet film critic will make in his lifetime. Alright, fine. When's filming? One survivor comes back babbling about a dragon. Ripley finally spills the beans. No one believes her, so she goes back to talk with creepy doctor for a while. He tells her his life story, they develop some real chemistry for a few seconds, and he is promptly killed by Scruffy the alien. Scruffy then crawls towards Ripley, does the famous hiss by her head thing, and then leaves to play with Creepy's corpse. She goes to warn the rest of the inmates as the warden gives a speech, and just as he's about to tell her off, Scruffy pops down and drags him away. This is followed by the most perfect use of everyone's favorite four-letter word to ever be uttered on film.
Fuck!
Anyway.
With everyone now on the same page, the inmates look to Ripley for a plan to stop Scruffy. They decide to drive it into a vault with fire and close the door. They get about halfway done preparing before Scruffy kills one guy, setting off a chain reaction that leads to a giant fireball killing a good chunk of the inmates.
Seriously, this alien has the highest manslaughter count of any movie monster. That's nothing to be proud of.
Well, Ripley has been feeling like crap, so she goes to give herself a medical scan. Guess what they find? Knowing she now has an alien queen inside her, and knowing the company is going to send people to retrieve her, she goes off in search of Scruffy to be killed. She finds out it won't kill her because of the embryo in her chest. Preacher decides to use that to their advantage, and another plan is put into motion. Lure it into a large mold and drown it in lead. This plan also does not go so well.
They actually should have just rushed the alien the first time they saw him. I can't imagine that doing any more damage than any of their brilliant plans.
Anyway, they eventually do manage to give Scruffy a lead bath, and when he survives that, blow him up with a cold shower, but there's still the issue of the bun in Ripley's oven. The company shows up with a team led, inexplicably, by Bishop's creator.
Why would you produce a series of droids that look just like you? People just end up mistaking you for a droid and bossing you around all the time.
Anyway, he basically begs Ripley to come with them, promising he'll save her and destroy the alien. Since he's noticeably more robotic than Bishop, she says no dice, and throws herself into the furnace. The alien queen, with some hilariously bad timing, decides to burst out just in time to get incinerated. Human Bishop and the rest of the team pack up and leave, dragging along the only surviving inmate, what's-his-face.
Does he come back in the next sequel? Is he our new Ripley?
So the film. What did I think of it? It had some good moments, but it didn't match up with the other two movies. In the one film where the effects would have benefited from having everything shot in the dark, it's well lit. In the one film where the setting requires distinct characters, they seem pretty interchangeable. In the one film that required a bigger, badder threat, they decided to scale it down. It attempts drama, but it does it cheaply and often without sufficient setup. And mind you, they were obviously trying to do some new things, but they went in the wrong direction and ended up making a rather drab, uninteresting film. And I understand they had some budget issues with this installment, but they still should have explored other ideas.
So while I wouldn't call it a bad film, it was definitely the weakest in the franchise. It lacked the first two's menace and the fourth's comedic value. Well, this has been Victor with The Junkyard. Thanks for watching and have a good day.
Who's a good little girl? You are? You are? Oh, you are a good little girl, yes.